All right, I'm gonna call the meeting to order at 6:32. So I'll do roll call. Lori Anthony.
Here.
Dwayne Woodsum. Dave Barker.
Here.
Nancy Brandt.
Here.
Raina Gane, I am here. Nadine Malloy seems to be absent. I haven't heard anything. And Steve Ross seems to be absent. I have not heard anything. All right, so item C, new business, further review of Article 2, Sections 208 and 209. You guys will see on the, at your, oh, hello.
Hello.
Do you mind just making a notation?
Yep, sure.
Oh, perfect. Do you want to sit there, or would you like to sit here?
I'm fine here.
Okay, so would you like all this?
Oh, yeah. Grab it.
There's that. And you're so welcome. Alright, so when you're settled, Nadine.
Yep, I'm all set.
All right, so we just started, so item C, number 1, further review of Articles 2, Section 208 and 209. We did have questions last meeting about that. I did give you guys a copy of my initial email to Natalie and her response. So in regard to Section 208 in Article 2, the question that we had brought up last meeting was whether or not we must elect a moderator since we no longer have town meetings, and if this is something we have to do. And as you can see from her response, for number 1, under the provision of Section 208, that refers to the moderator, is a leftover from the town meeting, so it's not needed since there is no longer a town meeting. So I don't know if anyone wants to motion to take that part out of Article 2, since we do not need it.
That was 208, right?
Yes, 208.
Was that 208 and 209?
Just 208
Just
right now,
208?
yep.
All right, I'll make a motion that we strike Section 208 out of Article 2, the mediator.
Anyone want a second?
I'll second.
Perfect. All in favor? Unanimous, perfect. All right, and then down to Section 209, the question that we had last meeting was regarding the clerk of town meeting. It discusses the clerk shall be the warden, however, select board currently elects the warden. Our question would reflect kind of parallel to the above, which is, can the select board elect more than one warden? And should this be elected versus appointed? She went on to state that under the 21 AM RSA Section 501, municipal officers, select board, or town council may permit the town clerk to appoint a warden and, if desired, to appoint one or more deputy wardens. Her assumption was that otherwise the municipal officers select the warden. The municipal officers appoint the election clerks by May 1st of each general election year, which is something I've already done for this upcoming year, just so everyone is aware. For the even number years, I have to give to the select board who my workers will be, and they will be appointed by the board for those next 2 years. So that is something we are currently doing. And then she says, in no event can a warden, board clerk, or deputy warden be an officer of any municipal committee of a political party, which I feel like kind of goes without saying. The warden, board clerk, and deputy wardens must be registered voters of the town, except that a non-resident clerk may serve in any of these positions. The warden and board clerks do not have to be elected positions in a town. Some municipalities may require election, but that is done by charter and usually occurs in cities. You may want to just state that the election officials shall be chosen in accordance with the provisions of the above statute, or just have a more general reference to the provisions of Title 21-A. So, seems like that section to me seems to be okay.
Or should that be changed to clerk of
So,
referendum voting.
correct, so I think we had mentioned in not the last meeting or the prior meeting, that anything that says town meeting, we would just, as we go along, strike out and put referendum.
Is it referendum or municipal election?
Well, municipal, you could put municipal / referendum. I mean, regardless, the wardens, you still want a warden at your election. So, I mean, the way it is now, it looks at me as a warden, but I also have another warden, which lately has been Rebecca Higgins. So,
Yeah, 'cause municipal voting would be just for the town,
correct.
not state,
Not state.
or if the federal government, you know.
Yeah,
So if you just have referendum vote, that covers,
All.
Yeah, but-
all, yeah.
covers all three.
Alright. Yeah, I don't know the ins and outs of
I know,
referendum
it's
versus municipal
yeah,
versus
no, I get it.
general election
It's like,
versus.
you almost just wanna say, any and all elections.
Yeah,
Right.
I feel like would just be
Right.
easier.
yeah. So warrant covers all of the above.
Correct.
Okay.
So I don't know what you guys think, if there's any further discussion on that. I feel like as is, it seems to be okay. Again, I feel like the big question of that night in regards to Article 2 was specifically the 208. We don't have a town meeting. Why are we still electing a moderator?
Right.
Well, if everyone's okay with that, I guess we can go on to item 2, which is further review of Article 3. I feel like we didn't really get to that one last time. We did a little bit. There was some
Yeah,
further
but,
discussion.
Yeah, there was because I did review the.
Yeah, you watched the video.
Yeah, I did watch the video, so, and immediately the question came up, council versus
Yeah.
select board.
Yeah. And, oh, just so I want to make aware, not that I think we have a plethora of people, you know, that'll be tuning in when this does get posted, but I did have Dave put under the Charter Commission, when you go under boards and commissions, when you click charter.
I saw it.
The videos are now there, so people can just click and link to them. So yes, that was the big question, is this?
It sort of halted everything at that
Yeah,
point.
so is this going to be, you know, select board or town council?
Well, I think what I was looking at is, the wording's already there. We basically have a town council,
Yeah,
not a select board. The only thing we have to do is have it, the council members will be councilmen at large,
correct.
Right.
instead of breaking up the town into
Different boards.
individual sections.
Districts.
And that just, you know, any council member will represent the whole town.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best way, and then nobody can come back later and, you know, we're
Well-
lying to you. No.
Well, and you have a hard enough time now trying to find people. So
Right,
if you
well,
do
yeah,
it
I
by,
understand, that's why we can have it at large.
Yep.
And that
Right.
gets rid of that whole problem of dividing up the town and. But I think that would be the right thing to do, is just call it a town council, because that's what it is now, basically. And it's been
I'm in
that way
agreement
for
with that.
6-7 years.
yeah.
As long as the words still have the same meaning, they're doing the same duties, I'm fine with it. I'm just used to it, select
Select
board.
board, yeah. And,
And we hate change.
yeah, and I
I mean,
think,
we're human, we hate change.
and from what I can recall too, what Natalie is, it's, this specific town is already functioning like they have a town, like a town council, and this board has powers similar to a town
Town
council,
council.
not select
Above-
board.
Above and beyond what a normal
Select board has, exactly, and that's similar
It's
to
details
what.
like that, you know, satisfies my head.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yes,
My 2 cents worth, you get changing this too far, and it's gonna go out the window, and you've wasted all your time doing it. Yeah, I think you wanna touch where you need to touch, and some of this you need to leave alone, because you're not gonna get it passed. When you get changing too much of this, and it was the same way the last time. They were scared to death that this isn't gonna pass. You got one shot to get this passed. You're not gonna come back with a second choice. You know, it's not like a budget, and you can
Keep
come
going.
back, you can come back and again. You got one chance when you get done to get this passed, and if it don't pass, you're back the way you are completely. And if you've got some points that you really think ought to be changed, change them, but don't take the meat out of that.
Well, I mean,
That's
I did
that's
go back
actually
and look at
work.
the town, the public hearing from the other commission. And yeah, a lot of the people, they didn't want a town council and a town manager, and I don't think they realized that that's what they got.
And that's my point, but they
Right.
still don't understand that you even got a charter. If you went out there today and asked them what was in the charter, nobody could tell you.
No.
They have no idea that we're running under a town charter today. Just something for thought, because, as I say, you're gonna have one shot at this, and this is gonna be it. You got 6 months to change this, and if you change too much, believe me, you've got some elderly people out there, or you've got some old timers that are going to fight you tooth and nail. And if you're out on the streets, you can hear it now.
I mean,
Well, we have another public hearing set
Yeah.
up before. I mean, that, we really gotta get to people and let them know that you've been under this form of government already for 7, 8 years.
Yeah.
And-
Putting the right title to it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of
we're
our
just
job to
putting-
educate them.
Right, exactly, and we're just putting the right title to what you already have.
Yep.
And, but that's just me.
You have to call an orange and not a tangerine.
Right. I just, I'm not one to deceive people, and I'm black and white, here it is. I guess that's something we all have to decide on.
I mean, I can always reach out to Natalie and see if she'd be, I mean, regardless, she's gonna be reviewing everything. And
You-
she's going to be.
You should have a meeting with Natalie
Yeah.
sitting right here.
And exactly, and she's
Because-
going, and she's gonna be giving her legal opinion
Yeah.
on it. So I mean, if we could get something from her, whether it be in person or in writing, to put in tandem with information packets, regardless, if people don't read them, there's only so much we can do with that.
Right.
But if she can at least put her legal opinion, so when people are coming in and we have stuff prepared at whichever election this goes out, I get what you're saying. It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was the same thing with the comprehensive plan. We had a lot of people show up, but then a lot of people were voting it down because they didn't understand exactly what the comprehensive plan
Yeah.
was. And they didn't realize, like, the GIS mapping, we got that for next to nothing because it was the flagship for the company to show other towns, this is what we done for Waterboro. And the people just didn't know. People were voting it down because they had no idea what it
What it was.
exactly was. And I think, yeah, the same thing would probably happen here. They would see wording, but at the same time, I think we gotta be right up front with them. Because that would upset them even worse if all of a sudden they found out. Like, I think a lot of people right now have found out what form of government we have. And it's like, well, we didn't want it. Well, you haven't. Well, how come? Well, I wasn't on the commission, I don't know.
Yeah.
You're 40, and I'm only pulling the number out of the hat, but the 40-year-olds and younger ain't got a clue, because they're using this for a bedroom community. They come in, they eat their supper, they go to bed, and they get up and they go to work.
Right. Well,
And-
plus there's
and
not much here
They-
in town
They
anyway.
load a school bus, and they send the kids off and send them over here to the daycare, and pick them up on the way home and go to bed. But have no idea what type of a community or a organization you've got within the town.
And those are the people that we need to get involved in the town.
But you're not going to.
No, and I will say, being a millennial, they like to be involved via Zoom, and they like to be involved via anything
Their phone.
their phone. And that
It's
is
that
because,
phone.
as you said, it is a bedroom community, and they are in and out all day long, or they have sports and this and that. So if it's accessible on something like this or a phone, then they'll be involved. And I think right now, with committees and meetings, and even the select board meetings, they're live, but they're not live on Facebook, for example, and that's what people are starting to get accustomed to.
I live stream it, so I
yeah.
use social media, so.
Yeah. So, and I think the other question is the involvement via electronically. I think that generation, or my generation and younger, they want to be involved, but they want to be able to do it from this projector.
Mm-hmm.
And if you aren't going to create policies to allow that to occur, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that
Participation.
input there,
Yeah.
no. So it's just, that's another thing that's a whole nother thing. I'm kind of
Yeah,
going
that
off
is.
subject a little
Well-
bit. But just to go with what you're
But
saying and what you're
Right,
saying.
right.
The
It is.
40-year-old, and I say 40 because you've got a young daughter, you've got things that you've got to do with her.
Mhm.
You're working 40, 45 hours a week at a minimum, and then take care of her, and take care of supper, and take care of the dishes, and you haven't got the time. You take the time, but you're one in 100 that can take the time, or will take the time, because you're involved with your work.
Yeah, she's involved in the town.
Yeah.
My sister, she prefers to swipe on Facebook
Yeah.
and look at kitties.
Yeah. Not actually look at what's going on.
Yeah.
She could care less what is going on in her town.
Lori's in a
Of course.
different ballgame than you are, because she's, and I'm picking on her now,
Yeah.
but she's up the ladder in age and has got some involvement still with the town and is kind of interested in what's going on, but very few of them,
Yeah.
unless they want to complain.
Thank you for not telling them how. Although I.
You're quite a bit younger than I am, dear.
I know you know I'm not.
So I guess in regard to town council or select board, I will say this, being internally here, some people don't even like to say select board. They just want to say board of selectmen, which Natalie had suggested we start changing that language because it
Yeah.
is a select board.
Select board.
Then the statutes changed
Yeah.
to select board too.
Yeah, so I guess the question is, if it stays select board, we need to change it from selectmen to select board, because that's
Yeah.
what it is. I don't wanna be premature on this, we could always review
And-
this again
Well,
come the time Natalie
but-
comes.
The question I would have for Natalie is, can you have 2 or 3 questions, and do you have to pass this as one book, all printed?
Yes.
Or can,
Yeah.
You do.
can you
So-
change some of that with a vote?
So,
And I'm talking select board versus councilmen.
so there are certain
And,
things in the charter that can be changed without a full charter review, from what I
Right.
understand. Whether or not this
Yeah,
discussion would be a part of that, I can certainly ask
Yeah.
her. Because I get what you're saying, pass what we need to, and if we had to add another vote, if this falls within that, put that out to voters, would you?
well, or can there be 3 questions on how you wanna change the charter. Can the townspeople have, the say on whether it's a select board or a,
Town
Town
council.
council.
town council, right? And, can they have the final say on it in a vote?
No, I don't think so. I think they vote on the town
The cha-
charter as we present it.
Present it,
Yeah.
but,
No, we present it to the select board.
Right.
So,
I mean, I can certainly always, I mean, I know I'm going to have, I'm kind of waiting for things to build up before I reach out to her again,
Yeah.
just money-wise. So I can add that in as a question if you'd like for later on.
Yeah.
I would.
Okay, perfect. And I think for section 3, that was really the big question of the night, was that, I mean, down with the 45 days, we already put as required by state law. Again, this is stuff Natalie's gonna fine tune to begin with as she gets more involved. So section 304 though, that was a big thing. And that is one of the big discussions tonight that we had discussed was the enumeration of powers and duties and just getting defined department heads and subordinates from there. So I know everyone was kind of asked at the last meeting, write down your thoughts on how you think things should be structured internally, and maybe we'll take the best of all. You know. So Nancy, did you have any?
The only thing I want to say is the last meeting, we was talking about treasurer and finance
Yeah.
director. You can't have, technically, it is the treasurer's job, but you can pull out, the treasurer's really, state statutes in charge of payroll and
Yeah.
deposit, yada, yada, yada. I guess in the past, the treasurer's always been part of the budget process, but now it's pulled out so that I guess the finance director.
Yeah, we have a finance director
So,
now.
the,
I think that was,
I can't get into fine details, okay? But in what we've had in the past, I don't know that we was talking about a financial director as we spoke the other night. I don't know how to put it and keep it to a minimum. That was done because we knew we had a major problem within the office. And it was hired to take care of the situation, upcoming situation that we knew we was going to have. And that's why that person was hired, was so that we weren't dropped and had nobody to take care of the financial upcomings of the town for a few months. That position is not a position that is permanently. As we speak today. So I don't know that you can make that the base of the tree and that top limb. I would want to sit down with Matt and
well, you could put it at the opportunity and just have it financed and that would cover.
yeah,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
it's not a permanent fixture there, or not a permanent, I want to say it's not a permanent limb. The limb is started, but it's a very small limb at this point.
I mean, regardless, you have a finance department,
Yes,
Mhm.
Yeah.
yes,
Right.
yes.
in my eyes.
Yeah.
And whether or not the specific person who is the finance director now is going to assume that role in the future, you still have someone who will be, whether it be her or someone else, a finance director. Am I right?
Yeah, which would be the treasurer.
So the deputy treasurer would be actually the finance director.
It could be,
Right.
yeah. That's a limb that
So,
it's a
what
limb
happens
that's
if-
growing and does it need to be, I don't know.
So, it's probably beyond us, but what happens if we start with, having the town clerk separate and the tax collector and the treasurer? What is that gonna do? I
So,
mean-
at least, if you don't mind me,
No,
in my little thing, and it's real, I was gonna pass these out, but I can barely read it without my glasses. I had HR/finance as one department, so that's what it is right now.
Yeah.
And then I put that we had a finance director with a deputy director, or however you wanna say it, treasurer, whatever it is, and then under them, the tax collector. So all financials under the finance department. I mean, if, let's say, the person who's in that role now is not going to stay there, then I am going to assume she's going to focus on HR only responsibilities.
I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna say.
No.
I
I mean,
don't
for all
know.
I know, maybe this person wants to take over Matt's contract, is that, I don't know. I'm just, regardless, you have a finance director,
You're
or you
right.
have a finance department.
Yes, yeah.
So
But
that part.
don't go thinking that this is a permanent job. It's your major limb out there, is what I'm trying to say, because
It was just
all of
temporary.
these things could
You're
change.
saying it's a temporary position that could go away, but the head, basically, so the head of the finance department will end up being what you're calling today, the deputy.
The treasurer in the past has taken all of those duties.
Right,
And
and that's
in
what I
order
found
to-
on the website.
Because
that
of
was
the
there.
situation that we was in, some of those duties needed to be pulled away. In order to do it, this is the way it was done. Whether it was done right, wrong, or different, we was in a tough situation. We had books that wasn't being audited, we had books that wasn't being reconciled, we had stuff that was being fined, we had stuff that was, and I can't go on, because, but it was day-to-day duties that wasn't getting done. So something had to happen.
just believe that.
I mean,
I don't know.
regardless, I have a finance, at least in mine, I have a finance
Right.
department,
Right,
and I have finance director, because that's what we have now. But that, to me, it's director or treasurer, the job itself
Is the
and
same.
the duties are the same.
Right.
Who, regardless of who's doing it now and who may be doing it in the future, the duties are the same. So I guess the question is, are we gonna keep the finance director name?
well, that's what I was trying to get at.
Or, yeah, or are you just gonna call it treasurer?
Because the town administrator is town clerk, tax collector, and treasurer.
I will say, you typically go to places, the finance director is a treasurer, or the town manager is the treasurer. So if you guys wanted to keep town manager being the treasurer, and that last and final write-off on things, contingent on what it is, you could have town manager be treasurer below it, kind of it being involved, but you would still have finance department with, I mean,
Well,
for
that would
me,
fall
my
under
head is
that
still,
would fall under
I
deputy
think-
finance director.
yeah.
I think
That's how that would.
probably the question should go to Matt and say, what is what, but.
Matt will
the-
say it's just semantics.
Yeah, the HR has always, in the past, fallen under the treasurer's job. Once it was taken out of the selectmen's hands. And this was taken out back when you was the administrator.
well, I guess the question from Matt or the board would be is, are there intentions for you to have an HR department?
Right.
Because it is Waterboro, there are a lot of Waterboro
Yeah.
employees, and I personally don't think employees should be reporting to HR. And that's just me, because if you have an issue, it's hard to be HR when you're a supervisor of that person.
Exactly.
So if you're going to
Well, yeah,
have
that's
an
a conflict of
HR,
interest.
yes.
Very much so.
So if you're
Yeah.
going to have HR, I say we prep it, so we have an HR department
Mhm.
with an HR director, and then we do a separate branch of finance, and then whoever's under finance. And so within the future, it disperses that way, it's already set up. And I will say, if you look and you have the original in the top left-hand corner, it does say it's subject to change without charter approval.
It is,
Yeah.
so.
So
It's
it's saying that,
semantics.
it's semantics, yes, it's Matt, it's semantics.
And that's more or less what had happened.
Yeah.
Yep, and that's what happened.
Roughly a year ago was,
It's separated.
yeah.
Yeah.
And with the.
I mean, information technology is under the planning department.
Yeah. I made my own branch for IT because it is its own.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't even have a planning department. We contract out right now.
Well,
Well-
we have a planning department. It's made up
It's
of
a-
a town planner.
yes.
A planning board, and code office. So we do have a planning
Department.
Now, who's in charge of that department?
Well, and that's,
Don't
I
ask
guess
me.
that's what I guess that's what I'm kind of getting
It's
at.
supposed to be the town planner.
It's not like we
supposed-
have a town planner in-house who's in charge of
Right.
Not saying anything.
all that.
Well,
Yes.
that was the same thing when Tom was here, when we were doing the commission, he says, nobody's in charge of planning.
Yeah.
Everybody's in charge of planning, but nobody's in charge of
Yeah.
planning. And that was the mess he ran into, and we were 5 years doing that comprehensive plan. And it was nuts what we run into.
I'm only gonna say one thing about Tom. If you paid him to do a job twice, he was more than happy to do it. But if he was working for the town and he wasn't getting an extra kick, he wasn't worth a nickel.
We can always, this is its own separate
Yeah.
entity. We can always
Come back.
speak, we can come back to this. We can talk to Matt,
Yeah.
talk, you know, and see what departments are, number one, what do we have now? Because like I said, this tree is so old.
Well, and that's why I kind of made my own tree.
It needs to be so much different.
I mean,
I can't evaluate something if I don't know what's in place right now.
I could certainly pass this out, but it is kind of blurry because I had to do it on one thing and then I had to screenshot it and apply it to Word. But like, if you'd like, I can give you a quick rundown of what I thought, or we can come back to it. I mean, I made assessing its own department, clerks its own department, code enforcement, you have your HR finance, which if we want, we could do two separate, because it kind of
Well,
made
the
two
the thing
separate.
is code enforcement falls under planning, because anything the planning does has to follow code, state code, our town ordinance, and that's how the zoning board of appeals worked. We had to compare what the state ordinance was and statutes, and compare it to the town, and make our decision according to what was written. So if you have a planning department, then your town planner is gonna be at the top, and your code enforcement officer and your planning board will be
If
below
you met
those.
this lady that's taking over.
Maybe we should have Matt come in, because he was in favor of removing the tax collector, town clerk, and treasurer from the
Yeah.
town administrator.
I mean, we can have him come in. I can certainly talk to him.
Yeah, well, isn't there something in the state
Yes.
that anybody with
Yeah.
dealing with that finances has to be certified to be dealing with those finances?
Well,
No?
you would typically be bonded, depending on the position itself.
All right.
I mean, I don't know, I feel like
As long
there,
as somebody's underneath them.
yeah.
Cool, give me a checkbook then.
No, somebody's gotta be underneath them
Underneath,
that is
yeah.
state certified. But
Yeah.
as far as being certified in all of those jobs, you do not have to, which I didn't agree with when Gary was hired, that he wasn't certified in any of that, and he needed to be getting his certifications, and nobody ever pushed it.
And unfortunately, I will say that's just unrealistic, to expect one person to get all those certifications.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just unattainable, in my opinion. But I agree, if you're in that position, you would think, well, then they need to be certified to do that job.
But
Yeah, because my whole thought when I was looking over the past couple of weeks is I just saw, okay, you got HR and finance, and I agree with you, they need to be separated.
HR should be separate.
HR needs to be
Mhm.
its own entity.
Yes.
But the way it's
Independent from-
structured right now is like, for example,
Right.
I have to go
this
to
could-
Laura.
We could put the wording in here to get that, you know.
Yep.
This is it's an independent person. That is, there's no conflict of interest anywhere which will cause a fight later on.
yeah,
Then you take your finances, then you break it right down. Even if the job goes away, that would be up to the select board to figure out, okay, you've got your finance director, your deputy finance director, your tax assessor, and your tax, you know.
and what you just
But-
said is very similar to what I have here.
The-
Right, and that's
The
the best I can figure
HR,
out by looking at what we have today
in
on the
my
town
mind,
website.
in my mind, there ain't work enough for an HR person. I mean, she or he has to have something else to do here for 40 hours, not at,
Like a lot of filing they can do.
you know, but, it's gotta have another title, because the HR isn't, the girls aren't fighting, and in most cases, it can be
HR does
worked
a
out.
lot more than just settle your disputes and stuff.
But what would it be, say, if one of the ladies working in the counter, you know, behind the counter, like even your, any of them that work back there, if one of them, there'd be a conflict of interest, if one of them was also a human resources, so if somebody did have a problem, you could come to, you know, one of the girls behind the counter or something during the day, if they had an extra duty, if it was needed. But just keep the conflict of interest of also having a department head as HR.
Right.
That can be a problem,
Yeah.
you know.
And that's kind of, and I will speak just from like internally here, there are quite a few employees that do feel like, why is that? You do know what I mean? I
Oh,
think
yeah,
if you have a
yeah.
town manager, department head should be reporting to town manager. And right now, that's not the case. You have this precedent that's been set of, okay, if something goes on, you are to report to HR/finance. However, people don't feel comfortable doing that, so everyone floods Matt's office, rather than maybe just department heads handling a situation and then going to Matt's office.
Mhm. And that's how it
About
should
that
be.
last meeting, but that would be a better flow.
Well, and that's the thing, if you can define department heads and subordinates, so like I took Nancy aside last week, I was like, hey, this is what we're going over, how would you feel if, let's say, customer service was under town clerk? And she's like, what? I mean, I feel like I'm my own boss. I said, well, you kind of are, but not really. You know, we all need to have someone to report to. And I said, like, right now, this is how it's going. If you know, et cetera, if you reported, let's say, under town clerk, there's an issue going on as a department head, that person would go to Matt, whoever it is, not me, the position itself would go to Matt. And then if it needs to be taken further, and then you can involve HR as that third party. Because right now, out there, everyone is just, they're their own thing. So that would eliminate extra people going into that back office for maybe something that could be resolved by talking to a department head and an email being sent.
Right. Well, yeah, that's how it should be anyway, because then if the department head has a problem that's going on, then the department head has a person that, hey, we have an employee problem, we have to look over this.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I understand, like, you know, Dwayne had said, HR in the town, how many hirings and firings is going on in here that HR usually takes care of? You know?
But on the other hand, we are growing.
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah,
we've got-
I understand
We've got
that.
77 employees on board.
And HR does a lot more
Uh,
than just handle situations as they come up. You know,
They do.
HR checks,
Well, no, HR
training necessities.
HR usually is the one that's dealing with posting of a job and should be part of the interview process within hiring somebody. And if you have to discipline them, HR that I
Is
know
present.
of always deals with it.
The HR too, I'm not big on Marina because
That's
she's here, but if Marina come in and said, I know I'm on drugs, you'd go to HR.
Right.
And the HR person could get her into either a rehab or get her, I'm having some marriage counselor problems, or I'm having something for a family
Panic
problem.
attacks.
That goes to HR, and HR can reach out because there's all kinds of services
Yeah.
to handle those type of
Right, and that's-
employee problems, and that's half of HR's, not
Right,
that
that's-
we've got, and I said, not that we've got that many at this point, but there is 70-some employees here at this point, so, not full-time, but I think there's
that
31
takes the pressure.
full-time, considered full-time employees, but.
Right, because that would take pressure off from Matt having to deal with it, or the select board having to
Well,
deal with it.
I will say, I think the idea, and it was never really sent via email, it was just kind of known by word of mouth of, you're going to report to HR now, and I think that was to try to alleviate the traffic in that office. But it didn't work because you have people here who are defined department heads currently who are, I'm not going to HR for this, I need to go to town administrator because this is an issue that they and I need to deal with. And then if HR needs to be involved, then we involve them. So I think there's just some mixed feelings.
Yeah.
And the other thing is HR is in the building at this point, full-time, whereas the town administrator is not here full-time.
Right, part-time.
He's, make sure that he's here in the morning, and tries to get back in the afternoon, but it's not, we don't have a full-time administrator, and in my mind, it's working very well for the taxpayer, because it's not, we've got two positions and paying 3/4 of the finance salary, yeah.
That could run into problems too.
The last man that was full-time was about 130,000 when he left, so.
And I think Matt's very amenable, and you can always contact him, at least just from me working internally and being here. So even though he's here half a day, even at the fire
Still
department,
very-
he's accessible.
Yeah,
Yeah, when I was in the tower, I could call the office and, hey, you want to get a county sheriff up here? We got a guy that just set up camp.
I mean, if you guys want, we can always have Matt come in and we can talk more about the HR finance branch of this.
We'll
I think
see,
some
see
stuff
what
are,
he is comfortable with and what he wants to actually deal with. as his
If I could
duties.
speak for Matt, less is more for him. If he could deal with less people, I think he would. And I
Oh,
think,
yeah,
like I
I-
said, that was the point of this HR thing. But people still just go in and go talk to him, because prior to him, there was always this, from what I understand, I wasn't here very long before that, this open door policy of anyone could come in. But, I mean, the guy's, he's got work to do
Well,
still
it was
too.
always set
Say,
up,
I
when
was
Gary
in
was
there.
here, it was set up that Gary had the final say of anything that went on. And so any problem, it was easier just to go right to Gary and plead your case. It worked out sometimes, and sometimes it didn't. But I still think an HR department needs, this is it,
Separate.
separate from everything, and that gets rid of all conflict of interest, and it does take pressure off of Matt when he's dealing with all these other things that he has to deal with within the town at the same time.
I don't disagree.
We could make Dennis come up with a flow chart too.
I don't think it'll be much different than what you're looking at now.
Pretty sure he gave me that.
That's what I'm saying, that's what he hands you. Yeah.
Actually, Dennis did not come up with that.
No, I know he didn't come up with it.
Because with your finance, we could put it down here as, your finance director, your deputy finance director, your tax assessor, tax collector.
Well, like I said, it's hard to read here, but I mean, there are some things that I don't think we need to talk to Matt about. It is pretty clear as day. The assessing department is its own department.
Right.
You have an assessor and then the assistant assessor. That should be zero discussion.
So
in my
I would
opinion.
think that we would make the chart that, the way we think it should be. Then we can discuss with Matt the HR part of it and see
Yeah.
what is it. Because that's easy enough to take off rather than build it around.
Yeah,
Right, because it'd be the
But I
same
really
thing
do
as
think
you
that
were
there needs to
saying
be an
about
HR
your
department.
position.
As a former HR
So you
person,
were
I'll
saying
tell
in
you,
your
I think there needs to be an
position,
HR.
you want to have the select board
so
or the town administrator deal with it?
for what, the clerk
For the
position?
clerk
So no,
position.
the way Natalie discussed and the way it is at a lot of places now is your town clerk is its own thing
Mhm.
because of the job itself, not because of me, the job. And day-to-day stuff, they would report to town manager as a department head. But because of what the position is, similar to town administrator and code enforcement, the select board deals with the hiring and firing of that position
Right.
and not town administrator, because you need to have an appeals process.
Right.
And that's because if, let's say, you get a town manager in here that is on, power hungry kick, and they just want to get rid of certain people, that's a position that really needs to be protected, not that every position doesn't, but
Well,
because
no,
of what it is.
It is, because you.
Definitely.
Town clerk, that's what the town clerk does. You basically run this deal during the day, and everything goes through you for your position, not.
There's a lot that goes through the position, yes.
Oh, yeah, I know, I understand, that's how that.
So
that's
like
worked.
day-to-day stuff, like approval of time off, vacations, like issues, things like that, town manager, or town administrator is what she expressed. And after looking at a few charters, it's not taboo for that to be that way. And then, as she stated, the select board, so like when I came in, Gary hired me. That wouldn't be the case. The select board
The select board.
does the hiring and firing of that
Right.
position. Whether they want to bring in Matt, as another person during the interview process, things like that. But at the end of the day, they're the ones that are hiring and appointing the person for that position. And I think she had said too, similar to town administrator and similar to codes, if you need to have an appeals process, when it comes to it, you need to have everyone present, not just a quorum.
Right.
Which may be a problem at some point. If you had one that had passed away or was out
I think that's an
seriously sick.
excusable excuse to do.
Yeah, I don't know.
When you say everybody,
Yeah.
full board, then it,
I don't know what part of, I know she said what we could do with that specifically is you have your town manager, town administrator portion. Under that, make another section for town clerk and the language be very similar to the town administrator
Have it
language.
separate.
But have it
Have it
separate,
stand
yes.
alone.
That's what she said, have it stand alone, like town administrator, town manager, and then below that on its own, town clerk, and then the language is just very similar.
I would be interested in seeing your chart, because I think you have the inside track. You work here every day, you work with all the different departments and all the different people, so you
I
have a
mean,
good idea.
I
of
felt like I
what
could
the
certainly
fo-
pass it on. I felt like mine was pretty self-explanatory. It's very similar to that, but it's not at the same time. Like I said, I have assessing department, and I just put mine in alphabetical order. That was what I did. And then you have your assessor and your assessing assistant. For clerk, department head's the town clerk, and then under them, for the purpose of there being a department head, because right now, there's no department head for out there, customer service be under town clerk. So that way, someone can be handling anything that comes up, which things don't really come up, but in the occurrence that something does, there's
Yeah.
someone there. I think there's this fear here of micromanagement, not with me, but just in general. That's not the case, and I know I've had just a few discussions with certain people that, and they know at least my position would, or this position would be a big change for people. And at least with me, since I am in the position now, I am not a micromanager. I got my own crap to do. If you can't do your job, that's a you problem, it's not a me problem. But if it needs to be addressed, I have no issues being assertive and addressing it. Where I don't see that happening, at least with our current staff, because we have very good staff and we have longevity, and we all get along. So, and then code enforcement, I just have the CEO, and then his administrative assistant. HR finance will get to that another day, I guess. For IT wasn't, it was under planning. I just, and actually before we started, Dave called me, he's like, just to say, IT really is its own department.
Well, it
So-
is, but it can be, it's also administrative too.
Administrative, some, to contingent on what it is, sometimes IT does GIS, depending on what municipality you're
Well,
in.
he basically administers the websites
Yeah.
and all the video
All of
for
it.
the town.
So I had made IT its own department
And that
with,
was 10 years ago, that was a
10 years ago, it was nothing, it was
Yeah,
one
he
computer.
kind of made it its own department.
That's half of the reason they got stuck there was where we were put there.
Where we
Yeah.
put it.
But now
Yeah.
that we're in
grown.
the
Now it's
age
grown,
of
yes.
technology.
Yeah, and it
has
needs to be
grown.
its own department.
And that's what I did. I had it as its own department, ID director. There's no staff there right now, but again, as that one says, it can be subject to change. You're not,
It's in the corner.
yeah. And then I did have planning department as its own department. What we
Yeah.
decide to go under that. Public service department, I kept that the same. I just added a few things. You have your recreation director, and then under recreation, I put administrative assistant and recreation staff. And then branching off of public service, I have library, and then library staff under the librarian. Public safety department, I kept that as is. I know Matt said in the past, it's pretty much how the flow is. There's so many little branches to public service, such as like captains and things like that. If he wanted to add those in, I think that'd be a good question to ask him. The one thing I did add into there was, under public safety department, I added fire chief, and under fire chief, I put deputy fire chief, because we do have a deputy that handles a lot of
A
the
lot of
stuff
stuff.
going on there, especially while Matt's over here. And then public works department, I have a public works director. Under them, I put foreman, and then building maintenance. As of right now, this wasn't the case in the past, but now building maintenance, Pete, his superior is, from what I understand, Jason now. So I made sure to add building maintenance under that, since that's how it is now. And then off of the public works, Department of Public Works Director, I put in its own little branch off of them, transfer station manager, and then under transfer station manager, I just added transfer station staff, because at the end of the day, if there's an issue with staff, Josh does go to Jason, but Josh is in charge of that staff while he's there. He is the manager of them.
they're supposed to go to him.
They're supposed to go to him, who
He'll
then,
go to
to Jason,
Public
exactly,
Works, and then Public Works will go
to Matt.
to Matt.
And that's why I kind
If
of
they can't
added,
handle it
If they
within,
can't.
within house. and-
exactly.
And that was the idea of the tree, was,
Yep.
you know,
And that's how I structured that, so. We'll
hopefully
see.
it don't go all the way to the back office.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it,
No.
and these guys at the dump are over abusing some of that stuff. That's one of these issues that's being taken care of. Hopefully.
Always
You never
preface
know.
it with
Well, I
hopefully.
did
Well,
put
no, I mean, you can't just
administrative
dump it.
assistant
You can't dump
under
it.
town.
They can't.
I put town
dump it.
manager like this, and then I put administrative assistant
Then
to the
it's
side
guys,
because.
they meet.
I kind of threw together one too, and it's like.
Oh, you did?
I didn't bring it with, where would you plug her in?
I just put her off, I put town manager, I put her off to the side.
Yeah.
And
Who?
administrative assistant to Matt.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, that, who, you just don't know where those types of positions will be in the next few years, when people retire. And I will say this, I have no issue saying it, is that a position that can be consolidated? Is that a position that is needed every day? Or, I mean, a lot of the stuff that's being done now,
As we stand right now, Matt's got 17 weeks of vacation, I believe. There needs to be somebody, if he decided to take a week once a month, take a week off, or 3 or 4 days, somebody needs to be in charge. Somebody
Town
needs-
clerk.
Yeah,
No, but,
No, I know,
and I don't
it's
know,
just a joke.
do
No, I
we even
know.
have an assistant?
well, and that was kind of my question too. We
I don't
we don't have a chief operating officer here, which is what you would typically
Right.
call someone who's under a town manager.
Yeah, who is under the town manager at this point?
everybody.
Literally, quite
Yeah.
literally.
Oh, quite literally.
You got an assistant?
No, we do
No.
not.
Okay,
And that's always my
I
question.
happened to think of that the other night, because
Well,
it was coming up in town, I was kind of working on a budget in my own mind, not that I needed to.
yeah,
but,
just to consult.
And I didn't see where, last year, we had spent much money for an assistant, whereas before.
To the
we had-
town
Yeah,
manager?
yeah, I mean, at one point Patty Berry was, and then Matt was to Gary, and, but we haven't, I
Right.
haven't seen that in a budget. But I
mean-
wasn't sure, because the budget, my paperwork for a year has been very slim.
Well, I think what Nancy Brandt meant was for administrative assistant, like, current administrative assistant's Laura Lowe.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You're
So to
sec-
the town manager, but I
Just
agree
tell me
with.
secretary.
Sorry.
for Christ's
Yeah.
sake.
I should know, you're back another 20 years.
Sorry, but I had branched her off separately, but back to what I was saying, in my opinion, in the next few years, when people start retiring, that is a position that could be consolidated.
Yeah.
See, I thought,
Okay, I know where you're
I was
going.
misunderstood.
I
because-
apologize.
No, I misunderstood because I thought Laura was helping with administrative assisting to Matt.
Well,
Already.
she does.
Yeah.
Well, but she's not the second in charge.
No.
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 But like,
Secretarial.
She's a
But-
secretarial position.
for a lot of,
Yeah.
Administrative assistants or secretarial positions, whether they prefer to be
Well-
called that or not.
yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know-
As the business world progresses anyway, secretarial positions are fading into the woodwork because people with their computers are doing their own letters and their own flow charts and,
And so like right now, like she of course does the
Using
meeting
AI.
minutes.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, she does the meeting minutes for,
Announcements.
in announcements and public hearings. She was helping a lot with the finance department, but now that we've hired someone, I think that work is gonna be
Yeah.
back to the finance department.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Well,
I've said it out loud before, I think there's a lot of stuff that is done in that office that a town clerk would normally be doing.
I was just gonna say that.
So if in a few years come retirement, the town clerk assumes the role of taking minutes at a board meeting, that is not taboo. And I could foresee that potentially happening. I don't know, I'm just saying my own opinion on the matter.
And lots of towns too, the town clerk is the
Post.
clerk to the,
Is the clerk to the board.
yeah, and,
They are.
uh,
And they post the public hearings.
Yes.
And they do all of that.
Yes.
I am well aware.
They do
So-
the thing.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying I've branched this off, but in a few years, as things change and people get to retirement age and they start retiring, I just don't know if that's a position that will be needed as another person, another warm body in the building, or if I'm still in the, whoever's in that clerk position, whether it be me or someone else, they just assume those roles that are stereotypically a clerk
Mhm.
function. But I agree with you, there needs to be someone second to Matt.
Yes.
Well,
Because if he's out, you
Yeah.
need someone at a board meeting, or you
Yeah.
need someone addressing management issues. And I think, I mean, don't quote me on this, I'm just going off of what I've heard internally, like when I first started, and I did not hear this from Dave, I heard it from other people when so-and-so's out, or Matt's out, like Dave's kinda here. And I don't know if it's just cause he's a male figure, you know what I mean, there's
Yeah.
just that,
I,
but there needs to be someone.
Yes. I
yes,
mean,
yeah, and, no, he's never been hired to do that.
And I know
Yeah.
that.
You know, but whether, I don't know,
So that'd be something the select board's got to figure out, is if they're gonna set up a position. for
Stipend.
that.
Yeah.
Yep. And I have had the discussion somewhat recently when going over this chart with Matt about department head meetings. And he goes, oh, well, I tried doing meetings and then so-and-so felt left out and this and that. And I said, well, that's quite literally the problem in this building, is people feel like they all need to be involved.
Mhm.
And they all need to be in on the know. And that's just not the case.
No.
I'm not
no,
privy to
it's not.
everything, and someone else may not be privy, you know, if someone has to have a closed door meeting and the door is closed, it is what it is. It's
Yeah,
none of your
right.
business what goes on behind that door, you know,
There are things you don't want to know.
Yeah, and so,
And you just tell them, any town government works just like the military. That's it.
It is,
That's how
yeah.
it works.
so, and I know we've tried having meetings before, and then some people felt left out, and I said to Matt, well, if you get clear department heads,
Well,
those,
that's the thing.
then
It
you'll.
has to be clearly
Well,
understood.
Exact.
So like, right,
Exactly.
exactly, and that precedent needs to be set. And, you know, for example, if we're having a department head meeting, or a meeting, then he also has to involve everyone out front. And it's like, you might as well just invite all the town employees in on a meeting at that point.
an employee meeting.
An employee meeting. But if you have department heads, those department heads, it's kind of up to them at that point, in my opinion, to reach out to their staff and say, hey, I have a department head meeting at this time. Is there anything you would like me to bring up on your behalf? And then have it addressed. But again, you would need to have defined department heads to do that. Because I think there was a reason why I was saying this, to go along with what you're saying. When you have a department head meeting, whether it be bi-weekly or once a month, whoever's second in charge, if they're not internally in this building, they can come in,
Yeah.
be a part of those conversations,
So
be
that
brought up to
everybody's in
date.
the loop. Yeah.
Everyone is in the
Yeah.
loop.
Right.
I don't disagree.
And there's some big personalities in this building.
No,
And
not in our town.
yeah.
Come on.
So I think by having
In this town, period.
Yeah, by having your department heads, and then it's not just a one-way street, like whoever's in that town management position, they need to kind of draw that line in the sand and say, nope, I'm not
That's it.
listening to this, you need to go to your department head.
Exactly.
Or, no, this is what we're doing, this is an issue, your department head brought it to me, and it's I don't
You
know.
have to-
I
it
do
will
feel
take
bad
some
for Matt
training.
some days.
It will take some training. People will
Yeah.
have to be trained as to who they report to,
Yeah.
and they all have to get used to it, because it is a change.
And
It's a
when
big
they're-
change.
and when they're hired, or even the ones that are hired, need to understand that it's on a right to know, and sorry, you don't have the right to know.
Right. And that there's a chain of command, and you
There's a
follow
chain,
the chain
yeah.
of command.
Yep,
If-
and there, exactly.
Most definitely, you follow the chain of command, you don't hop it.
Under the town manager, whatever we call it, under 402, it lists the, oh, wait a minute, I missed it. 402B, it lists what the department heads are. It's
Yeah,
Fire chief, code enforcement officer, park director, public works director, town planner, and librarian.
Yeah,
But that needs to be,
yeah.
Right.
I love Julie Hoyle, but I'm like, I'm kind of my own, that position is its own department head too. There are certain
Well, it
things
is.
that need
It
to,
is. Because you have nobody below you that you dictate to, nobody has to come to you, well, unless they have a problem in their department, and town clerk is all, and you have to deal with all the public. Yeah, right. Yeah, I've always agreed that town clerk is, you're your own department. Just like your IT department is.
it's his own department, yeah.
Yeah,
And, you know, your finance, you go down through finance, and that's it, everything that does with finance, and planning, everything that deals with planning.
Planning, yep.
And your zoning, and your ordinances, and that simplifies.
You would think it's self-explanatory.
Looks good on paper,
Yeah, exactly.
looks good on paper. But ain't that how the government works today?
It looks good on paper,
that's
yeah.
how everything works today.
I tried that at home, but my
Don't work?
wife's former Army intelligence, so that didn't work out.
I'm sure she threw that in the fireplace.
Yeah.
it's not good enough for government work.
Right.
I mean, if you guys want, like I said, we can definitely have Matt come in.
Yeah, and we can look over that part with him, because a lot of what goes on in this flow chart anyway, we can just put some wording in and that's it. And if anything needs to change, that's between Matt and the select board,
Yeah.
and we have no say in the matter anyway, because it's not our position.
Well, it would be helpful if we actually had a personnel committee here. Because personnel committee could be handling many of these things.
Right.
Especially when it comes to things like a job description. I know this is not charter, but while we're on the topic really quick, job descriptions really need to be looked at
Oh,
around
yeah,
here. And if
definitely.
you had and I know Laura Fish is kind of going through that right now, but again, if you had someone just focusing on just HR and you had a personnel committee in tandem together, you'd be able to produce things like that
Right.
and keep it
Because, I
fluid.
mean, I see it now when they have a job posting, even just for somebody working at the transfer station, to cover all your bases. I mean, the thing's this long, and it's like you're working at a transfer station.
But if you don't cover every one of those duties that you expect them to do,
Yeah,
Oh, I know.
I can't do that, because that wasn't in my job description.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
So you gotta cover.
You gotta cover it all.
every
You know what
freaking
mine says at the
item.
bottom? At the discretion of my supervisor.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Additional duties will be
Just
assigned.
tell people,
Yeah.
yeah, you're
I mean,
doing the
that-
carpenter work.
That can be added to a job description.
That's
Well,
your
standard.
job description is to
That's-
show up every day and do what you're told.
Yeah,
And-
pretty much. And that's, and that's at every, bottom of every job.
I used to once a year have my employees write their own job description, and we would sit down and review it to get an idea of how they saw their job based on how I saw their job. And from there, together, we could come up with an accurate job description.
I have a job description, and then there's everything else I
That's,
do.
yeah, exactly. And that would be stuff that you yourself would put into your job
Because
description.
Contractor.
One day it wasn't done and you just up and did it.
Covers
So you
everything.
added to your job description.
I was
Don't stick your
asked to.
screwdriver in there with the power on.
No, but you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying.
The more you
I'm
do,
not
the
picking
more
you up.
you're
Oh, yeah.
expected to do.
Yes,
And it's no matter where it is.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
It is, it's everything.
it is.
It's not.
It's not just government, it's not just town, it's
It's-
Everything.
everybody.
So,
Everybody.
your next meeting, other than leaving
Okay.
I would dare say that, if you put, if you wanna continue going down through there, but, kinda leave out the section that we haven't made any decisions the other night on, whatever the numbers are on,
On the
roughly
Article
departments,
3.
the four,
the 403, we
Yeah.
haven't got there. We're
Right.
stuck on 304.
yeah,
Yeah,
so,
done to 403
We're
yet.
not,
We knew that was gonna be a long one.
yeah,
We knew it.
we're gonna have to have a conversation, I
Yeah.
think, with Matt.
I can certainly
And
have that.
probably Natalie, on some of this, but, if we skip over that and think about that for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And set up a
and-
meeting.
And set up and go over Article 5, 6, 7. That's gonna take just going down through it.
Yeah.
Or you've got 20 minutes now, you could scoot down over those. Because your border review, your fair hearing,
Oh,
board committees,
yeah.
zoning board.
Yeah, Was there some talk about getting rid of committees?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just keeping the necessary ones and
Yeah.
getting rid of the extras.
I would be in agreement with that, because I think that too many are unmanned or
Yeah.
are under-participated in.
Article 5, we may wanna run down through, but there ain't much control over that.
Right, there's nothing we can do, because that's the
oh,
school.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the school. She already
Trust me, I
said-
wish there was stuff we
Yeah.
could do with that.
Oh, yeah. Let me see, I
mean-
think I got a few bullets here
Article
somewhere.
5 is gonna have to be left alone.
Yeah.
Right.
Article 5.
6 is the committees.
Mhm.
And then
I think Natalie said
6
one of
is
them,
all
was
the
it
appointed boards.
conservation, and there was another one that should,
I think we kicked the road review right out of there.
Well, I think she had mentioned that because we don't,
that's a one.
we have the public
Right.
works director now.
Yeah,
Right.
conservation and road review. The fair hearing is, and the assessment review,
You have to
it's
have,
gotta
Have to
be in
have.
there.
have to have those.
ZBA.
Your public safety committee, which I don't even see on here.
That's one that the board of selectmen has appointed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's several that they.
I mean,
We can-
look, I sit
And
on
then
it and
you-
I can tell you.
And they can get rid of them too. so.
Well, we had someone who's currently on ZBA who was on there who kind of expressed the same thing, like, it's just, nothing gets done, nothing gets accomplished, it's pretty much pointless at this point. Cause it's just back and forth and nothing gets voted, nothing.
The focus has become safety as opposed to public safety, and I
Yeah.
think that's where the hangup is.
Yeah.
Looking at it as like corporate safety instead of public safety issues. So, and I think that's where the hangup is, and
Mhm.
literally, there's sometimes 4 of us that show up, and it's just,
Yeah.
we have half our meetings, maybe.
And I think, if I remember right, Natalie said on the 609, the fair hearing committee,
Mhm.
that should be fair hearing officer.
Officer, yes.
One person?
Because we only have one person as of right now. So if the language says committee and you need to have a fair hearing process for something like general assistance, you would not be able to go forward because we don't have a committee. So you are correct. She did say
Change
officer.
it to officer.
Yep.
So that's got to be changed.
Now, can we change that to an odd number, but up to 3?
For fair hearing,
Yeah,
she said just to put officer.
Officer, so it's one person.
It's one person.
now the fair hearing is welfare, or is that,
Yep.
Yeah, from
Yeah,
general
tax.
assistance.
General assistant.
Right.
General
general
assistance.
assistance, okay, yeah.
And we only have one gentleman on it right now.
Yeah.
So as it stands, if something were to come up right now, with the language, we would be in a pickle.
Now we find somebody to,
You are gonna be on this for now.
You know my number, right?
That
You have to find
is
a lot of volunteers real
that,
quick.
that's a committee that has never met.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's ever met my,
I have,
have you seen one?
I've seen it 2 or 3 times.
The same thing with the tax assessment, board of review. or
Assessing board of
whatever it
review.
is. I think I was one of maybe 2 that's ever been to that.
All right, so I say we're gonna put a hold on item 3, because we wanna talk to Matt. So I can be in touch, I'll be in touch with Nancy, obviously, with some things. I don't anticipate it for it to happen at the next meeting, so I would need to check with his schedule.
I'll
So
put it
I-
First meeting in February?
Yeah, let's do that for the first meeting in February. And for item 4, agenda items for January 23rd, as Dwayne just said, go over Articles 5, 6, and 7. I mean, 5 is, we can
Five.
go over it
We can
for
go
the
over
sake
it.
of going over it and saying it's staying as
put it in there.
is. Just, yeah,
Check
just to
them
say
out.
we did, we addressed
We
that
looked at it.
Yep, so we could probably do 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Well, I can take care of
Yeah.
that. I'll make a motion to review Article 5 tonight.
All right, anyone want a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor? All right, so Article 5, that was unanimous. Article 5, touching on school board.
The comment is, we gotta leave it alone because it's state law.
Yep,
And as advised, as advised by our attorney.
yep,
Yes.
so
Looks
motion
quick.
to
Not
keep
today.
as is.
Yeah.
Okay, 5 is off the list?
Yeah,
Make a motion that Article 5 remain as is?
okay, anyone want to
No,
say?
you can't do that, because that's a conflict of interest.
No, she's on the school board anymore.
Nope.
No, you're not on the
Nope.
school board anymore?
Nope.
Okay.
All right, so motion by Nadine, anyone
Drove
want
you
to,
out, or you finally?
I laughed.
anyone want to second that motion?
I'll second
Dave,
that.
okay, all in favor? Unanimous?
Okay, 5 is off the table.
So I guess for agenda items for January 23rd, we'll go over Articles 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. Approval of minutes for December 23rd, 2023.
So moved.
One more second.
Second?
Nadine, all in favor?
No, you weren't there.
No, I wasn't.
No.
I watched it.
I'm not being a,
Dave,
I'll second that.
I can't either, I wasn't.
Jeez.
man.
We'll call Steve,
Details.
see if he wants to say.
Yeah,
There you go.
and then item 6,
Oh, we
posting.
gotta vote on it.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought everyone. Unanimous.
It'll be
I
four.
said the word unanimous, I clearly had in my head everything.
Subliminal message.
Posting on commission vacancies. So I just wanted to let everyone know that I did post the vacancies. They were posted a little bit ago. They were a little while ago. I had Dave make a news flash on our town website. It's also listed under vacancies on the website. I had someone internally send out a text my gov.
Got that.
And it was sent to all the groups, so even
I
if
got
it
it.
was just for closures,
I got
you
it.
got it.
3 or 4 times.
Yeah, that is depending on, it was sent to all the groups, so that's why we wanted to make sure everyone, depending on what you're enrolled in, you got it regardless. And it was also posted on Facebook and What's Up in Waterboro. I did reach out to the reporter as well. They were gonna have some downtime, I haven't heard back, so I anticipate I'll hear back from them when they get back in.
Yeah, I chuckled on Facebook, the only reply was a guy asking about
Yeah.
cribbage tournament.
Ribbit, yeah.
Yes,
So,
I saw that.
to go with that comment, it's safe to say I've received no applications as of yet, just so everyone's aware.
I wouldn't anticipate that you would.
tell him that he's gotta be here by 6:30 on Tuesdays, and they'll start the cribbage tournament.
Yeah.
There you go.
Please be involved.
That could have worked.
All right.
Yeah, I don't anticipate, I would be surprised if you got any
Yeah.
applications.
Me too.
No, I think we're pretty much stuck with what we have
I think this is what we
now.
have, and that's okay.
I think we've pretty much established.
I think once we get Article 3 and it's Article 4.
Four.
Yeah.
Four.
I mean, then it's,
Pretty close to done.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll have
The-
to some clean up with the.
Yeah.
And I made a statement
And
that,
put the town clerk as the separate.
I made a
Yeah.
statement
As a
at
separate
that last meeting.
For
that
June.
Department.
It could be for June, but I don't know that we can ever get it passed.
You won't have enough.
You ain't
On a
gonna
June
have
election.
people enough there to vote on it.
Yeah, you
You
might
gotta
wanna
have,
wait for,
I
hey,
think-
presidential, that's as
Oh.
big as you're gonna get around here.
Right?
That'll be a good one.
Yeah, I think you have to do it by percentage. and
Percentage
have
of
the
the
last
percentage
gubernatorial.
From yes and no.
Yeah.
So we're,
June
we
might
got, we got room to have 2 or 3 public hearings.
Can't say we
I
didn't
don't-
reach out.
I don't know that you're gonna get it, but, is,
Well,
Free
maybe
pizza.
I know it's
I
it's a
hate-
cost thing, but maybe, once we get this all said and done, if we do get one mailing out, like a postcard
Yeah.
thing out, and say, that's it, this is your chance.
yeah.
Yeah,
And then if they don't,
and I would feel comfortable doing that towards the end for
Yep.
our closer to last public hearing. I
Well,
mean, just,
there's a possibility that we might create a newspaper.
a
You know.
newsletter,
A newsletter or a newspaper, 2 or 3 page, but along towards Old Home Days time, to let the people know that this is going on. We take half of that newspaper and advertise just the charter, and it's just a thought here, but the
about-
newspaper, if we can get somebody to lay it out, the cost of it is not Cardinal Printing or Lori Carr up there to Cornish can print something like that fairly inexpensive.
I haven't heard of that business.
What about a table at Old Home Days?
Minuteman.
No,
With-
Cardinal
With
Printing.
copies
Yeah.
with information about the new charter and stuff like that, we can have a table set up.
yeah,
I'm gonna be there anyway for the pantry, so set it up next to me and I'll man both.
yeah.
They're not up in Denmark anymore?
No, Minuteman has bought them out,
I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
yeah,
Oh, right.
yeah.
The building
Very-
right across the street where I grew up.
They said it was gonna be
Oh,
there,
really?
it was gonna be there.
Yeah.
So you
Cardinal
overlook
Printing.
the water. Huh.
Yeah. If we wanna do a table at Old Home Days with the information about the new charter, I'm gonna be set up at Old Home Days anyway, so it can
You could do that and
set
then
it up next to
anything
my.
that the Historic Society is putting on in the future, between now and then. 'Cause a lot of
Yeah.
people turn out for things that they
Yeah.
host.
The Historical Society, nothing new or nothing breaking news, but they are in the process of trying to build a new building over here to the Taylor House, somewhere in the middle of that field, and have offered the town some room in the building, or offered to, we haven't got into final agreements,
Yeah.
but the basement is going to be air quality controlled so that we can store some of our history paperwork over there if wanted, I mean, if we want to buy into this building, and also have a place where we can possibly run our voting over there. We're not finalized anything, but they're talking around $3 million in a building before they get done. They don't want to go steel, they want to go wooden and keep it historical with lean-tos on the side so that they can store historical equipment and whatnot.
Well, they probably have to, because that's on the, it's recorded on the historical preservation.
Yes, yeah. Well, no, I guess they can build anything as long as it somewhat looks like, but they've got somebody that will engineer a elevator, like a silo even, to put people up on the second floor. Yeah. But if they go 6x6 or 8x8 timbers, post and beam, they don't need to meet the, sprinkler system, because those timbers take that much longer to
2 hour.
burn.
Yeah, they got
2 hour
2 hour.
burn, so, by doing it historical timber-wise, they can get away from the sprinkler system.
That's a lot of work. I worked on a few of those 200-year-old mansions down in Kennebunk. You know, trying to replace an old post and beam in a 200-year-old house.
But that,
Those are fun.
that is in the works of, in the future. Whether it's gonna be cheaper for us to build a building,
That's kind of the question, right?
yeah. that's what I'm
What's the
saying.
town's financial
Yeah.
obligation? Yes, we'd
Yeah.
have a place for storage and place to vote, but that would be the extent of it.
Yeah.
So how much do we have to
Invest.
invest in
Yeah.
it, and are we, is it going to be a good investment for us long
All
term?
right.
All right,
Old business.
there is no old business that I know of, unless anyone wants to bring something up. Nothing miscellaneous.
Make a motion to adjourn at 8 o'clock,
I second the motion.
7:59,
All right, all in favor?
it's now 8 o'clock.
Unanimous?
Now,